Hey everyone, I'm Carly. I'm a cross stitcher, a knitter, a spinner, and a natural dyer. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my FlossTube. I will tell you from the get-go, this is going to be a very fiber-heavy episode in that I've done a lot of knitting in the past month and spinning, and some natural dye. I do have some cross stitch, but not as much as usual. So I'll do all the stitchy stuff first, and then if you're not interested in the other things, then that is fine. You know what, Napoleon, you can leave, no hard feelings. But I will be talking about this funky little number that I'm wearing, and I might show you a magic trick that involves spit if you're lucky. So just saying. All right, I'll start off with the stitching. I have one finish this time. It is my Winter in My Garden by Mirabilia. Here it is. This is stitched 2/2 on a 32 count linen from Witchelt. I used all the called for DMC aside from the skin tone. I did do a conversion using some fancy floss I had in stash, as well as some DMC that I had in stash. Here she is. So yeah, that was a really fun challenge. I know there's a ton of really great resources online. Folks have been sharing them on Instagram and in their FlossTubes as well for converting maybe a less inclusive pattern to have a wider variety of options for skin tone, and those were really helpful. I kind of just eyeballed what I had in my stash and tried to match it to fit the pattern. I had already stitched the hair, so I was a little bit limited because some things were blending when I tried a different color, and her head was just kind of a blob. So that was a good lesson learned too, like considering hair when doing a skin tone conversion, and maybe even like the outfit too, depending on what color the outfit is when doing that. So that wasn't an issue for this one, but oh, I just love her so much. I also opted not to include the beads in this one. It calls for beads on these like squiggly plants. Can't really see them. But I just decided not to bother this time. I did also see folks were sharing that Nora Corbett released her latest zodiac patterns, and I think at least one or two did include some women of color. So yeah, more of that. Please and thank. Great. Next I have the piece I've been stitching on the most. I barely stitched at all in October. This project is to blame for that. But in November, I'm really trying to get back into it. I sort of felt like I lost myself a little bit in knitting, which is weird because I hold knitting as like a core identity above most of my other crafts. But stitching has been such a huge part of my life this year. Not doing it for so long was just... It was weird. So I'm 25/7ing this piece, and that means I'm trying to stitch at least 25 minutes a day, every day, on this. And it's, I think it's House of Christmas or Christmas House. I always mix it up. I'm sorry. By Galiana. And this is stitched 2/1 on a 24 count fiddler's cloth by DMC. So... yeah, I'm using a variegated DMC floss as well. It's called Jingle Bells. And I am almost done with that roof attic part. What's been fun about 25/7ing this is usually when I'm tackling a large piece, or any piece really, I kind of gauge, okay, am I in the mood for something that's a little more, I have to pay attention, like, these little pieces, for example, or do I just want to like stitch to stitch and I'll do like all my straight lines or fill in or something like that. But with 25/7, I have like a different parameter or constraint that I'm working in, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and finish like this chunk in this amount of time, regardless of like what kind of stitching mood I'm in. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just been interesting to see like how my strategy changes depending on those self-imposed restraints. And then I have 2 more pieces. Where is this one? I have a very, very, very meager amount of stitches I placed into this piece, but I wanted to show it so I could weigh in on some drama, because I love drama. Anyway, this is the latest on my 3 Lil Hexes by D's 20 Stitches. This is stitched 1/1 on 30-ish count mystery linen from Color and Cotton. And I have a teacup. Yay! I gotta put in the eye and fill in the little border at the top there, but it takes a while. 1/1 is still very difficult for me, but this is a really fun piece to practice with. I ran out of DMC black on this. One of the cats got a hold of it and chewed it up, and it was very stiff and not great to work with anymore. So I switched over to some Anchor that I picked up at Michael's a while back when I guess around the time that they started carrying it. And I'd heard Anchor Black, it'll change your life for so long. And I hadn't used it yet, and then I heard there might be some issues with Anchor. I personally have found it delightful to stitch with. Apparently, I will point the finger, D, because D did a lot of amazing research for this. The US based factory may have some difference in quality depending on how far away folks are from that factory and like where they're buying it from. So I'm on the east coast of the US, not close to South Carolina, but like not terribly far away, like not, West Coast Canada. So yeah, this has been fine. I think I would need to try it on like a 32 count, which is usually what I stitch on, to really see the difference, because over 1 it's kind of like, well, it's all kind of looks the same, but that's where I've seen the most kind of gappage in DMC black, or 310. So yeah, I will report back, I guess, when I use this on another project, just to weigh in on the conversation. Great, and then I have one more piece, a start. This is part of something I'm hoping to do as a yearly tradition. I would like to make a Prairie Schooler Santa ornament for my mom each year. And this is the one I'm doing this year. This is 2007, and it's the Knitting Santa. Since I started working in a yarn shop, my mom has been very excited and interested in what I'm doing. She's always very supportive and interested in what I'm doing, but this year knitting is something we have in common, so it's been really cool to share stuff I've been working on and give her updates on that. So it seemed like an appropriate Santa to kick this off. I am stitching this on a 32 count Dirty by Zweigart. It's a linen. And that's my itty bitty start. Just the hat and the scarf, a little bit of the beard and the border. I think I also want to do different skin tones for my Santas each year, so I'm thinking I'm going to try out the one I used for my Mirabilia on this year's, and yeah, because my mom was also very invested in that project too, so I think that would be a cool kind of tie-in there. All right, that's all my stitching. Yeah, I have a couple of shout outs, but then after that, it's a fiber party. I just wanted to thank Meghan Poco for her very, very sweet shout out. Meghan and I have been watching each other and commenting for a little while now, and if you don't watch her, she's lovely. She said, "We have a similar bubbliness," I think was her phrasing, and I think that's about right. I think yeah, I might have said it in another video, but like the way we interact with the camera is kind of similar. So if you like watching me, you might like watching Meghan. But she just had a lot of very nice things to say about the crafts I do, and just was so so nice. But yeah, Meghan has like some focus projects that she works on, so it's really cool to see like month to month how much she's done on these particular projects, and yeah, just be like really impressed with how much progress she does in that amount of time. So anyway, I also just wanted to welcome Danielle B from Danielle B's Crafting Corner. She's commented on my videos before as well, and she had another channel, and she started a new one recently, and I didn't realize it. And so I'm like making my way through her videos, and it's just great to have another person who I recognize on the screen now. So yay, welcome Danielle. Cool. So I'll do a little bit of a transition. This isn't cross stitch, but it is still kind of stitchy. Oh, here it is. So at the yarn shop, we're doing a like holiday gift exchange kind of thing, and I am making a gift for the person whose name I drew. We have these little bags that we use at the shop for workshops when we're getting all of the materials ready for the students, or packing orders and things like that, and it's got our logo on it in black and white. So our logo typically is in color, but on these bags it's not. So what I'm doing is embroidering it to be colorful like our logo. Yeah, so all the logo has in color is the plants. The yarn isn't in color or anything like that, but I'm just kind of filling it in and hoping hoping it stays. I've embroidered a little bit in the past. I might show that as a former finish one day. I have a backpack that I embroidered, which was a big project, and it was really fun, but that was in college, so long time ago, and I haven't done any like fill-in-y type stuff like this. So yeah, hoping that it'll be well received. The person I'm stitching it for, I often see her use these as project bags for her knitting and crochet, so I think it'll be a hit. And yeah. So I've done some natural dyeing this past month, which has been really exciting. I haven't done any natural dye since I started FlossTube. I talk about it at the beginning of every episode, like I'm a natural dyer, but I haven't done anything. I have a relative who recently had a baby, and I'm gonna meet them today. We're gonna have tea on the porch so I can keep a safe distance from the infant, but I did want to bring them a little something. So I got some cotton burp cloths from Target, and I dyed them. So I have some footage of the different techniques that I used to dye these cloths. For one of them, I took 2 glass jars, and I filled one with hot tea and the other one with hot turmeric. I put some turmeric powder in some hot water and like swirled it around, and then dunked half of one side in the jar and half of the other side in the other jar. I had some amazing assistance from Duck, as you can see. It's really important to have someone cute in the kitchen with you when you're doing experiments. It's crucial, I would say. So that was one of my techniques. Another one, I just simmered some madder root, which is just a root that's red, basically. You can't ingest it, but I just simmered it on the stove and crumbled up one of the burp cloths and stuck it in there and just kind of let it do its thing. I did remove it from the heat eventually and let it sit. I kind of smushed the dye stuff into folds of the fabric just so there would be splotches. The final 2 cloths, I used a baking sheet and kind of arranged the stuff on the cloth, folded it, kept wetting the fabric so that the dye would be released. And yeah, it was really interesting, I think, to see how the colors stuck after washing them. I've seen like silk, for example, if you steam it, it'll hold hibiscus, that color very, very well. The cotton, the way that I treated it, didn't. So I don't know, another cool thing to try in the future, but it felt really fun to be dyeing again. Just a weird phrase, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so I'm gonna bring those to them today, and hopefully the baby can add some other fun colors with its pukes, because yeah, you could be an artist at any age. All right, so now I have some spinning to share. Last time I had showed this hank of yarn, or the skein that I had spun. It's thick thin yarn, so it's got like various thicknesses, and I really, really liked working with it, and didn't think it would be long enough to make anything, so I bought some fiber, the fiber that this came from, to use to make some more, so I could extend the skein, make it longer basically, so I could make something. So this is the this is the fiber. I've been working with it obviously, but it's from Purl Scout. So she's also a natural dyer, and I believe all of her fiber and yarn that she sells is naturally dyed. So really, really cool to work with something that someone else has dyed. This particular fiber is blue-faced Leicester, which is a type of sheep wool, and it's in the colorway Sailor Moon. She has a lot of Sailor Moon and like other anime themed names for her stuff, which is really fun. But yeah, let me just get this all the way. So I've been working with that. I'll show you that in a second. In between this and the current spinning I'm doing with the same color, I spun up this guy. This is Echoview Fiber Mill is the brand, and this is a different kind of wool. There might be some other stuff in here too, maybe some mohair, I don't remember. But it was interesting. The fiber was really long compared to the Blueface Leicester, so I just had to work with it differently. So yeah, that was interesting. This is also kind of thick thin yarn. It's a little more consistent, but it's very soft, and I don't know what I'm gonna make with this either, but I'm still very proud of it. And then lastly, I haven't set this one yet. Like this one, I soaked it and then hung it so that the kinks would be removed. This one I haven't done any of that. It's a silk and I think also mohair alpaca. It's got like 3 different kinds of fibers in it. And this one was maybe my least favorite to work with. It is the fanciest of all the fibers that I have, but it shed everywhere when I was working with it. And because there's silk in it, it was really tough. I had to like pull really hard, I think, which could be good depending on like your style. Maybe you want something that's tougher, but for me, I just found it really difficult to work with. So just another learning curve. But those are the 3 skeins that I've spun, hand spun on my drop spindle, and this is my current one that I'm working with. I don't think I'm going to be able to combine it with this guy because my spinning's getting pretty good, I would say. It's a lot more consistent. Of course, there are some like chunkier bits, but it's not nearly as uneven as this one. So I could ply these together, which means wrap them together to make like a thicker yarn. It would also have some interesting color work as a result, but I don't know. I think this might have to be its own skein. But yeah, I'll give you like a quick little demo so you can see. This is the very beginner way to do it. There's an intermediate workshop that I can take. I'm still deciding if I'm available to go, but basically what you do, get your fiber out of the way, and then you spin your little spinner, and I'm pinching right above where the twist is. So, okay, it's starting to unspin. And then hold it in place. Take your other hand and pinch right above that twist. Pull the fiber to the thickness that you want it to be, and you let go and it becomes yarn. So I'll do that again. I'm not sure how well you can see, but the twist basically travels up. So this has been really fun to do, like in meetings and stuff. It doesn't require the same kind of concentration that sometimes stitching or knitting does, and it's pretty easy to like put down quickly if I need to. I don't have to like figure out where to put my needle or like be afraid that I'm going to lose count with my stitching. But that's how I do it, and it's working pretty well. So it's helping me learn about like drafting, which is like how you pull the yarn before you twist it, and just like get my spin hand strong, I guess. Okay. So now on to knitting. I have some finishes. First, I will share this hat that I made. This is a lovely ribbed hat is the pattern. It's by Purl Soho. And I originally got this yarn for this project, but the weight is too, it's different than the rest of this yarn. Basically, this yarn is thicker than the rest of the yarn in this sweater, so it wouldn't have worked in this shawl, not sweater. But it worked really well for this hat. The yarn is called Vovo by Rosa Pomar. They're based in Portugal, and what's really fun about when we get shipments of this brand, sometimes there's hay still in the skeins. Like, it is very rustic, and I love that. So yeah, this one has been keeping me nice and warm. I have knit it in the past for a friend. The friend I made the Kiki Toto pillow for, her sister, I made her a hat. She had drawn an illustration of what kind of hat she wanted, and I knit it up for her. Her version did have some fox ears that I left off. I wasn't quite ready to dive back into that kind of knitting again, but yeah, I really like this pattern a lot. And then I have a start. I am making some gloves. I'm using some gloves that my mom made a while ago, and I'll show those in my former and family finish section. But these are called lambing mitts is the name of the pattern. It's by Veronika Jobe, and I cast these on a couple days ago. But this is where I'm at. I know this looks like a hot mess right now, but I'm knitting them 2 at a time on circular needles, which is how I learned how to make socks, and I will never attempt 1 at a time. I don't think I would ever get off one sock island. Like, I would knit a single sock and never knit another one. Wait, what is it? Single sock syndrome. And then it's sleeve island is when you're knitting a sweater and you've only knit one sleeve. See, I have to relearn all of these different, like, we have some abbreviations in the knitting world, not as many as crochet. Well, we do in the patterns, but in terms of, like, how we talk about knitting, but there's a lot of, like, I don't know, fun phrases for things, and, like, there's also this thing, this is a total tangent, that I think about a lot. And when I was on Craftster back in the day, it was called the boyfriend sweater curse. And now it goes by many different names to be more inclusive. But basically, there was this sort of knitting lore, if you will, where if you knit your boyfriend a sweater, or you started knitting him a sweater, it was dangerous because he would probably break up with you. Like, there's this trend that the supposed trend that if you start knitting a sweater for someone that you're dating, it might not end well. So yeah, there you go. There's another knitting thing. Totally unrelated to any of this. But just all this stuff is like coming back to me. But yeah, this is Peace Fleece, another sort of like rusticy wool. It's also got some mohair in it, and I got this for $3. We do carry it in the shop, but I found it at a fiber sale for very cheap, and I think it's very old. This is the label, and it definitely doesn't look like that anymore, so I don't know how old it is. The colorway is Blue Jay. It looks a little different than what Blue Jay looks like now, but it's in this like garter rib pattern, and what I like about these is they will go up past my fingers, and then they'll be able to roll down when I am needing my fingers on the go, but they'll cover it otherwise. And then I have my most exciting finish of all, and the thing that has taken over my life this past month. I'm wearing my Shawlography shawl by Stephen West. This was his 2021 knit along, mystery knit along. So here's a little bit. Difficult to show the entire thing in the frame, but yeah, I knit this in just under a month. The pattern would, parts of the pattern would drop every Friday, so it was fun. I'll just show you the like little chunks of it. It was fun to wake up on Friday and watch the accompanying video to see what I would have to do that week and kind of plan out my week and think of how I was going to fit in the stitching. I'm really glad that I blocked this, which basically means you get it wet and stretch it, because before that it looked a lot like how this looks right here. I need to block this again just to stretch it out even more, but the gray was really dominant all around this top part, and I didn't care for it. I was so regretting my colors. I think it was not until I got to the border, the very end, where I was sold on my color choices. I was trying to like go out of my comfort zone a little bit, and felt like I had made a mistake and was like, well, I guess I'll like give it to someone, but I love it so much. I wore it in the shop and got a lot of compliments, including some from some of our customers who I know are like very advanced knitters, so that felt really good. So that made me love it even more. One change I made, this is an eyelet section. I've knit eyelets before, so that was not difficult. This portion did call for brioche. You could do brioche or eyelets, and brioche is basically like a fancy rib, but I was not, my hands hurt from doing, where is it? This blue and purple part, the big triangles. I was like, I'm in pain. So I did the eyelets instead. And that was fine. That was a good choice. I like it. I like it. But I learned so many different techniques. I tried all these things I had never done before. This is so fun to just like play with. It's like it's like a sampler, but for knitting, because there's so many different techniques that we used. So I had a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to participate next year. This is not a pattern I would have chosen if I had just kind of seen it on Ravelry. So I'm glad that I did the mystery, because it definitely got me out of my comfort zone. I'm probably going to choose some more like vibrant colors next time, or maybe some that are in my comfort zone, just so I feel, I don't know, a little more confident about what I'm making, or just to have some variety. So yeah, so that's my knitting. I've been watching a ton of knitters on YouTube, in addition to FlossTube. So I've picked up a couple things. One is something called spit splicing. So I'm working with a lot of wool, as you heard, and most of the wool we carry is not superwash. So that means superwash is basically the wool is treated in a couple of different ways, potentially, that make it so it's able to go in the washing machine, like it won't felt. But I'm using a lot of non-superwash wool, and sometimes when you're knitting, you'll get to a point in your skein where there's a knot. During production, maybe it's split, so in the factory they just like tie it back together, or maybe you, like me, think you're done with a particular color when you're doing your shawl and you cut it, and you're wrong, and you actually still need to be using that color. So either way, perhaps you don't want a knot in your knitting. I have two pieces of wool, and it's non-superwash wool. That's key. It has to be a fiber that can be felted, so an animal fiber. I don't think plant fibers can be felted. Maybe some of them, I don't know. What you'll do is get the ends a little bit wet. So let's see. Am I gonna spit on camera? I don't know. I don't have any water in there. Guys, do this when you can wash your hands, because COVID. Okay. So what I'm doing now, I got them wet, and then I'm just gonna rub it together. So the heat and the friction and the moisture will basically felt your thread so to become one. Look at that. So yeah, very exciting stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed that, sticking around and watching me spit on things. For my former and family finish, I have, let's see, I'll show you my family finish first. I mentioned some gloves that my mom had made for me. This is what I've been using as it's starting to get a little cold here. The gloves I'm making will go above my fingers, so that's why I'm making them. These are really nice. I do need to repair a little bit that's coming undone there. But yeah, I don't know what material these are. I know they have some silver yarn in there. She went through this phase where she bought a lot of silver. I think that silver is like good for socks because it's, again, like antimicrobial. Is that it? It's like, I don't know, something sciencey and health thing, hygiene. Yeah, I like these. They live in my jacket pockets, and they're lightweight, and they're great for knitting when I'm out and about. And then for my former finish, I mentioned that I had made this hat before. I also have made FlossTubes in the past before I published them. So I got really excited about FlossTube last year, but didn't feel like I was ready to publish my own. So I did my own little Vlogmas and some other vlogs here and there throughout the beginning of this year. And I'm going to be digging into those archives so I can show you some former finishes, one of which is this hat. So I will put the archive in here. And then I have this itty bitty hat. It does stretch quite a lot, so it'll fit on the head. I tried to do some fox ears, but I just don't have enough yarn, and I don't want to spend the time, honestly, trying to figure it out. But I love it. It's super warm. I like how it feels on my head. I'm not really a beanie wearer, so this feels like a lot of extra space, I think, but she can pull it down and roll it, and then it'll be like a normal hat. I love the white stitches. I don't know, they just look really good, really satisfying. I think because you can see them more clearly than the blue ones. And I wove in my ends. I don't usually do that. I did cut these ones, but that's okay. No one will know. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing Carly with her big old bun and the side shave that had grown out so much that you couldn't even tell it was a side shave anymore. But yeah, that was a really fun project to make for my friend's sister. All right. think that's everything I have. I'll just do a quick little earring check. These are my mom's. I don't know when she first got these, but I wore them a lot in middle school, and then they've recently made an appearance again, as I've needed to kind of counterbalance the not having hair, because my head's kind of small. So having the big earrings helps with that. Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for coming. I know it's maybe a bit of a quicker one today, but hopefully next time I'll have more stitching to show you. I think since this is done, I feel like my life is back. It took up a lot of my time, but it was so much fun. And I'm looking forward to making another shawl. I don't know what pattern yet, but there's definitely going to be another one on the horizon. All right. Thanks again. See you later. Bye.